Over the last 18 years, 9 women disappeared along the same stretch of Virginia highway. Some were found in remote locations weeks after vanishing, others were never recovered. A few cases were solved, but most remain mysteries that haunt investigators to this day. What connects all 9 cases is simple but terrifying. Every victim had been traveling on US Route 29. The question that kept law enforcement awake for nearly 2 decades was this: why were women disappearing from this specific road across different years in different towns? Was there a predator using Route 29 as a hunting ground? And if so, how many people were responsible? Some answers eventually came through DNA evidence and careful detective work, but other questions remain locked in cold case files. This is the true story of Virginia's Route 29, where a pattern of disappearances changed how an entire region thinks about highway safety. Alicia Showalter Reynolds was 25 years old when she left Baltimore on a Saturday morning to visit her mother in Charlottesville. It was supposed to be a simple shopping trip along Route 29. She called her mom around 11 a.m. to say she was making good time. By evening, her mother was still waiting in the parking lot. Alicia never arrived. Virginia State Police found her car that night on Route 29 near Culpeper. The vehicle was unlocked with the engine running fine and gas still in the tank. Her purse sat untouched on the passenger seat. A napkin had been placed on the windshield, the universal signal for car trouble. But when troopers inspected the vehicle, they found nothing mechanically wrong. Alicia was gone. 5 days later, a farmer in Lignum discovered her body in a wooded area 15 miles from where her car was found. Investigators determined she had been taken the same day she disappeared. The location where her body was dumped wasn't random. It was deep and isolated forest, accessible only through unmarked dirt roads that locals used for hunting. Whoever killed Alicia knew the terrain intimately. This detail made investigators realize something disturbing. This wasn't a crime of opportunity by someone passing through. The killer was local and familiar with hidden areas where bodies could be concealed. Police began reviewing other unsolved cases in the region to see if similar patterns existed. Less than 3 months after Alicia's case, 2 more women died near Route 29. Julianne Williams and Laura Winans were camping in Shenandoah National Park when they were attacked at their campsite in May 1996. Both women had their wrists bound and their throats were cut. The park was less than 10 miles from Route 29. For decades, this double homicide remained unsolved until June 2024, when DNA testing identified Walter Leo Jackson Sr., a deceased convicted offender from Ohio, as the suspect. Then in September 1996, Ann Carolyn McDaniel disappeared while hitchhiking along Route 29 in Orange, Virginia. The 20-year-old was last seen on the highway that afternoon. 4 days later, hunters found her remains in the woods near Culpeper, just 7 miles from where Alicia's body had been discovered. An autopsy revealed she had been asphyxiated. 3 women dead in 6 months, all connected to the same highway corridor. That's when police started receiving calls from women who had experienced something strange on Route 29. More than 20 women came forward to report similar encounters along Route 29 between January and March 1996. The pattern was consistent and frightening. A man would be standing on the highway shoulder, waving at passing cars as if his vehicle had broken down. Some women stopped to help. Others slowed down but didn't pull over completely. When women engaged with him, he would approach their window and ask for assistance. He needed directions. His truck ran out of gas. Could they drive him to the nearest station? He seemed calm and normal at first, but something felt wrong about the encounter. The women who refused and drove away reported what happened next. He wouldn't just let them leave. He would get into his own vehicle, which hadn't actually broken down, and follow them for miles. Some women said he stayed uncomfortably close behind their cars until they reached populated areas or took unexpected exits. He told several women his name was Larry Breeden. Investigators checked every person with that name in the region. None matched the description or had connections to the cases. The name was likely fake. Virginia State Police issued public warnings. Do not stop for anyone on Route 29, even if they appear to need help. They called him the Route 29 Stalker. Despite hundreds of tips and increased patrols, he was never caught or identified. Investigators suspected Richard Mark Evanitz, a serial killer active in the area who had murdered 3 teenage girls in nearby Spotsylvania County. Evanitz died by suicide during a police confrontation in June 2002, but DNA evidence never definitively linked him to the Route 29 cases. The identity of the stalker remains unknown more than 20 years later. Some detectives believe it's unlikely multiple offenders would operate in the same area simultaneously, suggesting Evanitz could have been responsible. But without concrete evidence, the connection remains speculative. After 1996, the disappearances stopped. For over a decade, Route 29 seemed like any other highway. Then in 2009, the pattern returned. Morgan Harrington was a 20-year-old Virginia Tech student attending a Metallica concert in Charlottesville on October 17, 2009. Security footage showed her leaving the arena alone around 8:30 p.m. She never made it home. 3 months later, on January 26, 2010, her remains were found at Anchorage Farm in Albemarle County, less than 2 miles from Route 29. In 2010, 19-year-old Samantha Clark walked out of her house in Orange, Virginia, telling her brother she'd be right back. She disappeared completely. Police reclassified her case as a homicide in 2021 when new forensic technology provided crucial evidence. Her remains were discovered on private property in December 2020 and positively identified in February 2021. Sage Smith, a 19-year-old woman, vanished in 2012 after meeting someone for a date near Charlottesville. Her case remains unsolved. August 2013 brought the first breakthrough. Alexis Murphy, 17, stopped at a gas station off Route 29 in Lovingston. Surveillance cameras captured her inside at 7:15 p.m. Hours later, her car was found abandoned. The footage also showed her vehicle being followed by a truck belonging to Randy Allen Taylor. Taylor was arrested, convicted of her murder, and sentenced to life in prison. However, he never revealed where he disposed of her body. Her remains weren't discovered until December 2020. Then came September 2014. Hannah Graham, an 18-year-old University of Virginia student, disappeared after leaving a party in downtown Charlottesville. Surveillance footage showed her walking with Jesse Leroy Matthew Jr., a hospital worker who had approached her on the street. Matthew fled when police tried to question him, but was arrested days later in Texas. When forensic analysts processed evidence from Matthew's vehicle, they discovered something crucial. His DNA matched evidence collected from Morgan Harrington's remains 5 years earlier. The same person who killed Hannah had also murdered Morgan. Matthew was convicted of both murders and sentenced to multiple life terms. He entered an Alford plea, meaning he didn't admit guilt but acknowledged there was enough evidence to convict him. 9 confirmed cases, 3 killers identified and convicted, 6 cases still unsolved. The question remains, what makes Route 29 so dangerous? The answer lies in geography. Route 29 runs approximately 150 miles through central Virginia, connecting major cities but passing through vast stretches of isolated terrain. Between towns, there are sections where cell phone signals disappear and gas stations are 20 or 30 miles apart. Dense forests and private farmland surround the highway for miles in every direction. Once you leave the main road, hundreds of unmarked dirt paths wind through the woods. Only locals know these routes. They don't appear on GPS systems. If someone wanted to abduct a victim and transport them away from witnesses, Route 29 provides those opportunities. If they wanted to hide evidence in locations that might never be searched, the surrounding terrain offers countless options. Predators understood this. They targeted women traveling alone during evening hours when traffic was light. They knew which areas had no surveillance cameras. They knew where dead zones existed. And they knew how long it would take before someone reported a person missing. In 2016, the FBI began cross-referencing Route 29 cases with other unsolved murders in Virginia, including the Colonial Parkway killings from the 1980s. The patterns were similar: isolated roads, young victims, minimal physical evidence, bodies found in remote locations that only locals would know about. This comparative analysis helped investigators understand they were dealing with a recurring pattern that extended beyond Route 29. The conclusion was both simple and disturbing. Route 29 itself isn't inherently dangerous, but it creates conditions that dangerous people can exploit, and those conditions exist along many rural highways across America. Route 29 still carries thousands of travelers daily. Most reach their destinations without incident, but the region has changed how it approaches this highway. Parents warn their children not to travel Route 29 alone at night. Drivers keep their doors locked and don't stop for strangers. Local law enforcement maintains active cold case files and continues investigating leads as new technology becomes available. Virginia State Police increased patrol presence after 2014. Emergency call boxes were installed at key intervals so stranded motorists can contact authorities directly without flagging down passing vehicles. Sheriff's departments now coordinate more closely when suspicious activity is reported along the corridor. This improved communication has already helped solve several cases that might have gone cold under the previous system. The cultural shift is significant. Women who grew up after these cases became public knowledge drive more defensively. They tell friends their routes and expected arrival times. They don't pull over to help people on Route 29 regardless of how the situation appears. These precautions have become standard practice taught to new drivers in the region, but questions persist. Who was the Route 29 stalker from 1996? Was he responsible for any of the murders, or was he a separate predator who operated differently? Were all the unsolved cases connected to one perpetrator, or did multiple killers independently exploit the same geographic advantages? Some investigators believe Richard Evanitz may have been involved in the earlier cases, though this was never proven before his death in 2002. Others think there could be additional victims whose disappearances were never connected to the Route 29 pattern because they occurred in different jurisdictions or their bodies were never found. The investigation continues with advances in forensic technology, providing new opportunities to examine old evidence. These questions may never have complete answers. Evidence has degraded over time, witnesses have moved or passed away, and the people most likely to know the truth have every reason to stay silent. 9 women disappeared along Route 29 between 1996 and 2014. 3 cases were solved through DNA evidence and persistent investigation. 6 remain officially unsolved. The highway looks the same as it did decades ago, but everything about how people use it has changed. This is the legacy of Route 29. A reminder that danger doesn't always announce itself. Sometimes it waits on a quiet highway shoulder, waving for help. And sometimes the most dangerous thing about a road isn't the pavement or the traffic. It's who might be watching from the shadows, waiting for someone to stop.